Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be showing you a build guide for the College of Winter Spirit Bard in Baldur's Gate 3. This is my own mod, I just released it yesterday. I want to take you guys through levels 1 through 12. I'll be doing level 20 in the future. This mod has 33 different spells and actions between the different summons and your character themselves. It's got unique VFX for all the spells and a bunch of different weapons you can summon in. You got undead that are just uncontrollable, like Danse Macabre, making them not annoying to deal with. There's a snowman summon and got a lot of other great things to show off in this video. I had a lot of fun making this mod, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it as well. I'm also using equipment from the Scrappy Little Christmas Presents by Petrograph 99, which also released this week. So that's where I got that Candy Cane Club and this little scarf from. But for the cantrips, I'd recommend grabbing Vicious Mockery and Mage Hand. I actually have a level 3 spell that we get at the start that gives you water bottles, and you can throw them with your Mage Hand. It also gives you cranberries. Level spell, we go with Healing Word, Distant Whispers, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and Thunder Wave, which we can double in damage. And we'll go with a following stat spread of 16 Dex, 16 Charisma, 14 Constitution. You can take Charisma to 17 if you want to use the Hag's Hair. Level 2 gives us our Jack of all trades, adding half the proficiency bonus to anything we're not proficient in. Another short rest with Song of Rest, and we get Long Strider, which is going to be a good spell to give our team buffs, because we want them to move around, because Level 3 gives us our subclass, the College of Winter Spirit. Now, I tried my best to keep this balanced. It's not going to out-damage a College of Sword Bard if you mix them with the Paladin. This is still very strong, though. I just want to put that out there. Now, you do get some special abilities at level 3 here with bonus action Snowball, which is like a Ray of Frost, but a little bit less damage, and it takes a Bardic Inspiration. So I try to make everything have a cost to it. Same thing as Winter's Wit here, which works like a bonus action Vicious Mockery. However, it only does a 1d4 of cold damage, and it uses up your Bardic Inspiration. We also get the Summon Ice Cat spell here, Catsicle at level 3, and Icy Missile. This is actually a pretty good spell because it creates an ice surface for one turn below the enemies as well, so they're potentially going to slip. Chromatic Orb, as this is recommended because we do have some passes here that can actually use Chromatic Orb. More on that in a second. And Conjure Cranberry Juice. I made this special. It's like Goodberry, but it does a 44 of healing. You've summoned 4 of them, and you summon 4 water bottles to make your own cranberry juice for your family get-together. But a nice bonus is Mage Hand can... it's a free action to drop anything in Baldur's Gate 3, so drop a water bottle, have your Mage Hand throw it. It can set up you for double damage, because wet targets actually take double cold damage. So we have a lot of passives here. I'll quickly run through them. We got Yuletide Spark, which adds your spellcasting modifier to cantrips. Winter's Crescendo, which adds additional cold damage anytime you deal cold damage. Elemental Harmony, which will use things like Chromatic Orb to infuse your weapon with any type of damage from that. Chilling Feedback. If an enemy attacks you and misses, they get chilled for 2 turns. This is really good because chilled means they take double damage. Ice Veil Solace. So whenever you succeed a saving throw against a spell, you get healed. Ember Ending Encore. I love the name of this one. It's actually funny. But when you drop below 50% health, you get fire resistance. I didn't want to give this at all times because fire resistance is really good. Ice Bite gives you increased critical hit chance, and I do have later ones, so if you like crit fishing builds at level 20, you can utilize that. Frost Resistance, resistance to cold damage, which is not common, but good to have. Evergreen Sting, when you get healed, you do an additional 1 to 6 poison damage. And then I have the Holly and Jolly Infusements. Whenever you attack a creature that's illuminated, you either do 2 points of necrotic or 2 points of force damage. It's just meant to look like Christmas lights when you attack. But I did try to keep this as scrubbed clean as of holiday references. As some people don't celebrate the holidays, and that's totally understandable. I want to make this a winter druid for them. I really like the Winter's Crescendo. It's kind of my favorite, but Chilling Feedback is probably the best choice here if you really want to min-max this type of build. And for the leveled spell, I'd recommend Hold Person, although Clouded Daggers can be fun because it's guaranteed damage. Level 4, I did give this build stuff at every single level, so level 4 gives us the Winter's Balance. This is really nice because one of the most annoying things about ice surfaces is watching Shadowheart hit her head on the ground. This will protect them. I actually made this a little strong. It's 12 meter radius too, so I didn't want people to be annoyed with knocking everyone down. This protects you, and it also makes it so you don't get slowed down on ice. Now, typically when you have the immunity to slipping from ice, you don't get the ability to run around on it. This gives everyone the ability to run around with Winter's Balance. I also give a Ice Dog, Freezing Ray, which is pretty strong. It's a cold damage version of Scorching Ray with cool VFX, and Ice Blade. I'll show this all off in a second. Ice Blade I had a lot of fun with making. We also get to take a cantrip, and it's probably best to play a high half-elf because adding Booming Blade to this is pretty strong because we can actually double that damage. We'll take Clouded Daggers. And a lot of people don't know you can double Thunder, Force, and Bludgeoning damage because Frozen is really hard to apply on the enemy. And this build actually makes it a little bit easier to apply a little later on. And we'll take the Alert feat just because going first in combat's nice when we set up surfaces. So here is our Ice Cat, Catsicle. And what it does is it does a little kitty attack, a 1d6 cold damage, and then it has a meow attack. It's got 32 health, so it's got a little bit more than normal cats would because they go down really quickly. It's just meant to be fun and cute, and it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it will land its hits a little bit more than other summons. Got any games on your phone? This is the dog. Yeah, it's cute. It also has an attack too. It does the bite. It's a little bit stronger than the cat. It's a little bit tankier. I figure people would really like the dog. Now at higher levels, you can get a version of the dog that will have 3 dogs. So at level 15, you get that. It's pretty fun. And then our Ice Blade here. So this summons in a weapon, which is like Shadow Blade in how it works. So it will put the second one in your pocket if you're equipped it with a weapon. But if you have a free offhand, it'll actually put both of them in your main hand here. Now, what it does is it gives you advantage on attack rolls against concentrated creatures. I try to make it weaker than Shadow Blade, which does 2d8 of Psychic up to 4d8. This does 1d6 plus 1d4 plus it does 2 poison and 2 force damage, just because I thought it would be fun, again, add those lights on it. It looks cool when you attack enemies, you see those colors pop up, it just feels thematic. But I also give the Veil of the Wind, so this gives you increased movement speed. It's the similar passive to Nyrulna's passive, which is a fun one. I also give it advantage on stealth checks, so you can be a little stealthier while using these. And when it's in your offhand, it gives a +2 to armor class. I wanted to make this feel like kind of jack of all trades, so you're not missing out on anything. It also has a special Hush You attack, which can silence a target for 2 turns. Frost Mend Strike, which will heal you. And the Frosty Butterflies, which I think looks amazing. This is utilizing some base game stuff with some cold appearances. And then you got these butterflies swirling around. I think level 4 is a really fun one. But level 5, I give some fun spells. We got Sculpt Spells, which creates safety pockets in our evocation spells. So anyone that gets hit with a spell is not going to get hit by the damage, which is great. I also give off... So Ice Ball is like a weaker damage version of Fireball, just because cold damage is stronger, and it does create a surface, which Fireball doesn't. So I try to scale this down a little bit. I'm open to any balance ideas on it. I also made Ice Beam have less radius than Lightning Bolt does, so it does do the same type of damage as Lightning Bolt, so it's not like it's going to be more overpowered, but we wanted to scale it down that way. And we also get the Owlbear Cub at level 5 here, which is really cute too. And on top of this, we get choice of spells. You can actually use Glyph of Warding to get the elemental augmentation there from Elemental Harmony, so if you wanted to do that and set up to do like lightning damage on your blades, you could. Level 6, I didn't want to give too much because it already gets an extra attack. And then we get a Winter's Harmony passive at every level, and I actually add more as you scale up in levels. And I'm going to go with the Jolly Infusion there. I just kind of grabbed a few of those there. Honestly, you can take whatever passive you want. It doesn't make you super overpowered till a little bit later when you get really strong. Now, I did make a Smite spell, the Aurora Smite here. So this adds 2d8 of cold damage and an additional 1d8 if it's a Fiend or Undead, similar to Divine Smite. However, the big difference here is it's a level 2 spell slot. So you have to think, do you want to use a Scorch or a Freezing Ray, or do you want to use Aurora Smite? It is strong, but it is, I think, balanced in a degree because you're going to be expending a lot of resources to get the damage. I also added in Ice Storm at this level, Sleet Storm, and the Summon Ice Skeletons ×3, which are like Danse Macabre, which you don't have to control. And they got unique sound effects and VFX. They go around and they slap ice at enemies, and it makes it like a little twinkly. It sounds cool. You'll see later. And then I'm going to use Confusion here, as it's a really good spell. And you can see we actually got some more choice in our passives now. This is where things get a little crazy because I put the Bite of the Ballad. So whenever you inflict a condition, you apply 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost, which is how we're going to make enemies freeze. And then we also have things like the Virtuoso's Aim, which gives you advantage against wet targets. So your Mage Hand, again, setting you up for extra advantages. We also have the Aurora's Cadence. When you heal a creature, it gets a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws. Basically the Bless Ring. Pull to Restore when you get a critical hit. This one's kind of strong. I've contemplated putting it a little higher. 15 temporary health on killing an animal, getting a crit. Icy Bite, increasing your critical hit chance. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Bite of the Ballad. Getting that Encrusted with Frost is pretty nice. We do have some other abilities later on that do get strong. Level 8, we got a Trick Shot. We got Aurora's Guided Arrow. So this is like a different VFX version of the Seeking Arrow that the Arcane Archer gets, and it does cold damage instead, and it eats up a Bardic Inspiration. So again, you got to think, do I want to use my 5 Bardic Inspiration on bonus actions, or do I want to use it on a Guided Arrow to ensure I get damage? It gives you some thought-provoking questions. We also got the Ice Bow here, which is another custom weapon, and the Summon Owlbear, which I personally really enjoy. You feel like a ranger once you hit level 8, because you get a bow, you get a ranger attack, and you get an owlbear as a big bear. And Greater Invisibility is a great spell to take as well. I'm going to throw an Evergreen Sting just for the extra damage on heals, which is kind of nice because we can get heals kind of consistently. Take an ability score improvement on Charisma. It's always a nice stat to increase at level 8. And level 9 gives Cone of Cold, so you don't take it as a magical secret next level, opening it up so you can take more interesting choices. And then Snow Arrow, which it's different than Aurora's Guided Arrow, which is a weapon attack. This is a spell, so you don't get the extra attack afterwards. But it creates a nice surface. It's kind of like the lightning arrow from the ranger, and I made upcastable versions of it, which normally the base game doesn't have. We'll take hold monster at this level, and we get even more choices here with things like Rime Brand. Whenever we deal cold damage, we do encrust with frost on the enemy. Frosty Finale, whenever we deal cold damage, we possibly inflict chilled. Funny enough, this sounds overpowered, but you get it in Act 1. You can actually get this from the Morning Frost Staff, so you actually can get some pretty crazy abilities on this early game if you spec into it. At level 10, we get another choice in Cantrip. I should have taken Friends a little earlier if you're the face of the party. We'll take Dominate Person because it can be funny. Magical Secrets. This is a good choice to take Banishing Smite because it's high damage and you can banish a target. My personal preference is actually Spirit Guardians and Counterspell. I love taking this combo. You become really defensive and you keep your team safe because you can pop Spirit Guardians. If you have a Cleric, don't take this because theirs doesn't stack with yours. And instead, you could go Conjure Elemental or Banishing Smite because the Elemental could set up your cold damage as well. And we'll take another choice here. I'm going to go with Frosty Finale to get the chilled on cold damage. And Persuasion and Intimidation are always good proficiencies to get at level 10. Now, I'm just going to stick at level 12 again. I'll do a level 20 build in the future, but we get Chain Ice Beam. So this is like Chain Lightning, but it has VFX of like Ray of Frost. It looks really cool. And also Odaluk's Freezing Sphere, which is a good spell that only the wizard gets access to, and it creates a huge surface. I love it. And then we get things like Eye Bite or Otto's Irresistible Dance. We're going with that, because sometimes it can come in clutch if you really need someone to be locked down. Now we have 2 more passives to choose from. I really like the Icewind Resonance to give ourselves reverberation on the targets. And then there is other choices, like if you want to crit fish, you could go Ice Bite and Ice Bite. Poly Infusement's also kind of nice. I do like the extra damage under attacks, but Icewind Resonance is just a really good ability that I want on this build. And final level 12, it does again have level 20 support all the way up, and it actually has a bunch of new spells. You get new summon spells you get at later levels, but I'll do a build on that later. I'm kind of short on time today. And we also get a Wall of Ice. It does say up to 120 damage. It's a little misleading. It's just because the icy aura deals damage and the wall itself can deal damage. Now, we also get another choice in spell. Eye Bite's a good choice. It also actually has support if you're using any of the other mods that add in spells. You can get some pretty fun ones. So, yeah, this is literally a spell mod that released earlier this week, 2024 spell updates mod. Yeah, it's cool. And the final one, I think I'm going to add in the Holy Infusement just to get the extra damage off. And then we'll max out the Charisma at 20. And you can see it does have level 13 all the way up to 20 support. And actually, the level 20 capstone gives you the 3 snowmen. They're a little crazy. I just want to put that out there. They're strong. But it's because they have their own unique spell. That is another mod that I have that's popping up there. You can ignore that. That won't happen for you. With this here, Snow Surge, it has a pretty large knockback, which is kind of funny. And he also has Thunder Wave. So the great thing about this is if you freeze a target, he can actually come in and his 5d8 can be doubled. So it does become pretty strong. He also has the Drunken Inhale because I thought that just made sense for like a holiday theme. And also the Sweet Plum Gales looks like a windy snow attack, which is kind of cool. And he can also teleport. So similar to the Planar Ally, just a little bit stronger, but I thought it was kind of fun. And he also has a cool beard. And I'll summon in the bow too. I'm not actually going to cover gear in this video. There's a lot of really great choices. You can spec around a lot of things with this because I get medium armor proficiency and you also get martial weapon proficiency. But the bow that we get at level 8 is called Guide My Slay. It does 1d8 of cold damage, plus 2 poison, plus 2 force for the extra thematic. And it gives you Guiding Bolt, Promise Victory, similar to Gondor Mail. So yeah, that's why I named it Guide My Slay. I know it's a little silly, but I thought it was fun, so I went with that. And it also gives you advantage on acrobatics checks, so you don't get shoved around as much. So I thought that was nice for an archer to feel like planted in the ground with this cool icy VFX that it has on the bow. It looks pretty nice, I think. All right, so for our first turn of combat, it's actually kind of funny seeing my wear clothing into a fight. Our genie rolls. So I actually made the summons have a good initiative because there's nothing more annoying in the game than having your summon not work with you. This can set you up to do some cool things because you can like restrain a bunch of targets while using this. He also has the Snow Surge, which is really strong. So you just push people right off of ledges here. So you can actually sometimes get lucky with where you push them. This is pushing those ones a little bit too far, so I might just try to line this up and take them out here. Also has some cool VFX, so we'll go see you later. Maybe knocked one of them flying. That's a record for the distance push. If you don't care about loot, you can do this. You can also actually use telekinesis to then drag the body back up. So yeah, there's ways around it. He also has Shifting Winds, which lets him teleport, but his attack also makes this huge ice patch here. So I forgot to activate my aura here, which is going to protect everybody from that. But I guess the nice thing is I've made it so that it doesn't take an action, so you can always just pop it at any minute. Now he's immune to the difficult terrain, so he can actually walk around. Because right then it was slowing him down a little bit. I'll make him proc that attack. That's fine. But he can now move on the ice freely, which is perfect. Now it's my turn. I want to set up and deal a bunch of damage to people. I have haste on my character, so that's why it's going to look a little strong. This will actually hit 4 people. I'm going to use it. There is upcastable versions, a lot of these spells, and some of them I actually made a special version when you upcast it to a higher level, so you can explore that and find some cool combinations. I'm just going to do an arrow here right in the middle. I'll roll the crit too, just for the hell of it. And that was a big boom. I'm going to turn off Call the Weak because that is pretty strong. That would have killed them all. But this one now has encrusted with frost. So we want to set that up to as many people as possible. There's a couple ways that we can go about doing that. If you have the snowburst ring on, you can also create ice surfaces really easily because every attack we do will create an ice surface. I didn't want to put that as a passive because that would be borderline overpowered. If there's a target you need to attack that's hiding, guided arrow is your friend. You can use this to help weed them out and find them. But if you don't have any other good options, Icy Missile is a really good spell. It's a level 1 spell. You see the little group that's below it. I'm actually going to use an upcasted version of it. I can't hit those targets there. So I'll use this to hit this target, and this target here. So this is how you create surfaces. It's not going to be too overpowered, but you see there, we can sometimes knock them down. The great thing about ice is that if they fall on their turn, they lose their turn. But if they fall on our turn, they lose movement speed because they have to stand up. So it's kind of a gamble. You'd rather them slip on their turns, and especially if they're concentration, that's a good way to break it. And then we got Snowball here, which we got our bonus action ability, which we can use to get a little bit of extra damage off. This target has, they're knocked down, so I'm going to use it on them, potentially pick up a crit. Didn't get it, but we got Ray of Frost, so they lost a bit of movement speed. And they now have 6 stacks of Encrusted with Frost. 1 more and they become frozen. And just gotta hope, yeah, we got the slip. Perfect. Ice surfaces are pretty crazy. Sometimes the enemy will just stay in place because they don't want to deal with the ice. And yeah, but they still can throw attacks. Like it makes them act a little bit differently too. It's kind of funny. And this one actually walked and ended up falling. So yeah, ice surfaces do work a little bit weird where sometimes it can end up knocking them down. But yeah, they're encrusted with frost too, so this is great. And then went with the fire elemental. That's fine. I'll let them bring that out. Fire, I was thinking about making all the summons weak to fire, but from my testing, the enemies would just drop fireballs on them and just incinerate them immediately. So it wasn't fun to have it play out that way because they would just all die pretty quick. And also you gotta watch out because blood, especially the unstable blood, can really mess with that too. So it makes it even more enjoyable because you got a bunch of options you have to choose from and where you want to like position yourself. And it's our turn again. I'm going to use a trick shot because I need to get rid of one of these targets over here. And I wouldn't normally be able to hit them. The guided arrow is really fun. I just applied fairy fire. So I guess I could just go with like a scorching ray into that and we'll upcast it here. Or freezing ray, I should say. I don't have line of sight, unfortunately. As those blast away at these targets here. And then final one on this target. This won't be enough damage to take them out. But I got reverberation off on them. They failed the counter, so it was kind of funny. That was enough to, they saved on it. It knocked that one prone. Wasn't enough to get the damage out, but that's okay. And you ignore the Spirit Gardens. It shows that it has one, but this is another mod that I've installed. It's not my mod that's causing that. Winter's Wit's nice, though. If you have a target that may do an attack, it looks like you're about to do Vicious Mockery, and I wish that I could get Vicious Mockery to work properly. It just didn't work out the way I wanted to. Boom, there we go. We took out another target as a bonus action. This is exactly why I like to take Counterspell. I didn't cast it at the right level. I think it's a good time to show off the Chain Ice Beam, because it is quite strong now. It's really fast VFX, so you just have to watch. Boom! Chain Ice Beam. Looks amazing. I love that. Strong, but so is Chain Lightning. And I know the Bard doesn't normally get access to that, but you're using up your action. Then you can't do another type of attack. Here's the Aurora Smite. I didn't make it like a super smitey action. I had to make sure that the animation would play properly, and this is the only way. But yeah, there it is. Boom. That is the College of Winter Spirit Bard in Baldur's Gate 3. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That is my very first mod. I do have others in the works, so let me know if you guys want to see any type of modded content or any type of mods from me. So again, go download the College of Winter Spirit, leave a comment, endorse it on Nexus Mods, like it, whatever you guys like to do with that kind of mods. Hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll see y'all in the next one.